Rome, the greatest empire the world had ever seen. Its armies stretched from the sands of Africa to the misty forests of Britain. Its roads cut across nations. Its laws shaped history. Its emperors called themselves gods. But behind the marble temples, behind the shining armor, behind the glory, there was blood. There was pain. There were victims. This is the story Rome did not want you to hear. The story of those who suffered, who cried, who were broken, so that Rome could rise. These are the victims of the Roman Empire. Number 1. Enslaved people. Rome's beating engine. The Roman Empire was built on conquest, and every conquest filled Rome with treasure, land, and slaves. Millions of human beings, yes, millions, men, women, and children, taken from their homes, from Gaul, from Greece, from Carthage, from Judea. Every war Rome fought ended with chains. Prisoners of war marched for days, tied together with ropes, beaten if they slowed down. When they reached Rome, they were not treated as people anymore. They were sold like cattle. A man could be bought with coins. A woman could be sold for her beauty. A child could be separated from his mother forever. In the mines of Spain and Sicily, slaves dug endlessly in the dark. There was no sun, no hope. Many died, their bodies broken, and were simply replaced by new captives. On farms, slaves worked from sunrise to sunset, feeding Rome's hunger. In households, they served rich masters, washing, cooking, cleaning, always watched, always punished for mistakes. And then there were the gladiators. Slaves forced to fight for entertainment, thrown into arenas before cheering crowds, to kill or be killed. Some lasted years, most died young. The sands of the Colosseum were red with their blood, but not all were silent. One slave rose and shook the empire. His name was Spartacus, a gladiator who broke his chains. He led an army of 70,000 slaves against Rome itself. For 2 years they fought bravely, but Rome's legions crushed them. The survivors, 6,000 of them, were crucified along the road to Rome. Cross after cross after cross, as far as the eye could see. A warning: this is what happens if you rise against Rome. Slavery was not a small part of Rome. It was Rome. Without slaves, there were no farms, no mines, no buildings, no empire. Behind every stone of the Colosseum, behind every golden statue, was the suffering of men and women who had no freedom. The Romans wrote poems about heroes, built arches for victory, carved emperors into stone. But the slaves, their names are lost, their faces forgotten. They were the invisible hands that carried Rome to greatness, hands scarred with chains. This was the first group of Rome's victims. Number 2, Carthage. Rome's legions were feared across the world. They marched in iron lines, shields locked, spears ready. Wherever they went, nations fell. But when Rome conquered, it was not mercy that followed. It was fire. It was blood. It was chains. In 146 BCE, Rome destroyed its greatest rival, Carthage. For years, these two powers fought for control of the Mediterranean. But in the end, Carthage fell. The Roman general Scipio ordered the city burned. The flames roared for days, its people slaughtered. Those who survived were chained, sold into slavery, scattered forever. The once great city of Carthage was erased from the earth. Rome had no pity, only victory. Number 3. The Gauls fell to Julius Caesar's bloody march. A century later, Julius Caesar marched into Gaul, modern France. The Gauls were proud, fierce tribes, but Rome wanted their land, their gold, their lives. For 8 years, Caesar's legions fought. By the end, 1 million Gauls were killed, another million enslaved. Entire villages were wiped out, men cut down, women captured, children stolen. At Alesia, Caesar trapped the great Gallic leader Vercingetorix. After surrender, the proud chief was paraded in chains through Rome, then strangled in a dungeon. His people's freedom died with him. In Judea, the Jewish people rose against Rome, fighting for their faith and their land. Rome answered with terror. In 70 CE, Roman legions stormed Jerusalem. The Holy Temple, the heart of the Jewish world, was set on fire. Thousands were slaughtered, thousands more crucified along the roads. Blood filled the streets where prayers once rose. And when the Jews rebelled again decades later, Emperor Hadrian made his decision: crush them completely. Villages were destroyed, survivors sold as slaves. The Jewish people scattered, forced into exile across the world. Rome had erased their homeland. The Romans called it peace, Pax Romana, but for the conquered, it was silence born of fear. Rome did not only take lives, it took souls. Local gods were banned, languages disappeared, cultures that had stood for centuries were forced into the Roman mold. Yes, Rome built roads. Yes, Rome built aqueducts. Yes, Rome brought law. But these gifts came with a heavy price: the loss of freedom, the loss of identity, the loss of entire nations. The Gauls, the Carthaginians, the Jews, and countless others. These were not Rome's citizens. These were Rome's victims, and their cries still echo through history. Number 5. Christians and religious persecutions. In the heart of Rome, beneath the grand temples and marble palaces, another story was unfolding. A small group of men and women gathered in secret. They did not worship Jupiter or Mars or the emperor himself. They followed a new faith, Christianity. But to Rome, this faith was dangerous, and those who followed it became the next victims. Christians were the scapegoats of Rome. In 64 CE, a great fire tore through Rome. The flames raged for days, destroying homes and temples. The people cried out, demanding to know who was to blame. The emperor, Nero, was accused of starting the fire himself. To save his name, Nero needed scapegoats, and he found them: Christians. He ordered them arrested, tortured, executed in cruel and terrifying ways. Some were thrown to wild beasts. Some were burned alive, their bodies used as torches to light the emperor's gardens at night. Crowds laughed and cheered as men and women screamed in agony. The message was clear: follow this new religion and you will die. For the next 2 centuries, Christians lived in fear. They worshipped in secret caves and catacombs, always hiding from Roman eyes. At any moment, soldiers could knock at the door. At any moment, families could be dragged away. At any moment, faith could cost a person their life. Number 6. Political opponents. Poor Romans. Gladiators. Women and children, plus legacy. Narrator. Rome was not only cruel to the conquered, it was cruel to its own. Inside the empire itself, no one was truly safe. Not senators, not the poor, not women, not even children. When power is everything, trust is nothing. Roman leaders killed not just enemies, but friends, brothers, even family. Emperor Tiberius executed senators who dared speak against him. Caligula murdered those he suspected of plotting, real or imagined. Nero killed his own mother. The empire devoured itself in fear. And then there were the proscriptions. When a name was written on the list, it meant death. Sulla's proscriptions, the Second Triumvirate's proscriptions. Thousands of Rome's wealthy men were hunted down, slaughtered in the streets, their land and money stolen by the state, their families destroyed, their names erased. The poor Romans, forgotten in their own city. Even in Rome itself, the so-called heart of the empire, life was brutal for the poor. The rich feasted on silver plates, but the poor crowded into crumbling apartments called insulae. These buildings often collapsed or burned, killing dozens at a time. The government threw bread to the hungry, gave grain to stop riots, and staged games to keep the poor distracted. But the truth remained. Most Romans lived in misery. And when war came, it was the poor who were sent to die on distant battlefields, fighting wars for the glory of men they would never meet.